Come on in.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Harry, I'm great, man. What's up?
You know what? I'd love to have a conversation with you all about work skills.
I love talking work skills.
I know you love work skills. So do I. Is now a good time?
It is. Were you thinking of talking in here, or can we take advantage of this gorgeous weather and Meristem campus and just take a walk and talk?
Yeah, let's do a walk and talk.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Follow me.
What is your superpower?
I'd probably say my creativity.
Knowing nerdy trivia.
My superpower is being a good listener.
Devising a million questions.
Helping people.
Making people laugh.
My superpower is that I'm determined and never give up.
So this is a big deal because we've had Eric on the podcast before on A Voice of the Community, but he's back. And for those of you that don't know Eric, I did want to do a little introduction just to get everyone who might not be familiar. We're kind of doing a new podcast format for 2026. Eric, we're going to get into all things Meristem, what your role is here and what you do at Meristem. But just to validate it, I wanted to ask you if you could tell me a little about how you got started in this field and how long you've been doing it.
Well, I mean, you know the story because we've been sharing this with a lot of people. But just to kind of recap, 25 years ago, I'm in a position where I'm working with adults with, at that time, we're just kind of called adults with developmental disabilities. And it was really clear to me that almost all of them wanted to be connected to something where they were making their own money. They were getting their own check. Like how important that was for them to feel a sense of connectedness and purpose to what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
And it just evolved from there to where about 8 years ago now, I met you when I came here to Meristem, right? And I had the opportunity to come here to Meristem to help develop what we now call our work skills program, which is huge, you know what I mean? We've just done so much, but that's the quick spin on that.
We're going to get into all things work skills. In fact, we might even make a series out of this. Today's more of an introduction, but how did you actually find out about this beautiful place we call Meristem?
Wow. To be honest with you, I think that I was doing something that I've been doing for a long time. I was with an organization and helping adults that classified as adults with developmental disabilities and doing a lot of workforce stuff for them. And I'm not exactly sure how Meristem came up, but I do want to share this with you. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, is that I believe people make websites all the time. And the website says everything that it's supposed to be, and it always looks amazing. And then you go, and you're like, this doesn't look like the website.
Right.
Well, when I was researching Meristem, and I'm looking at the website, I'm thinking, there's no way that there's any place on the planet that could be this cool looking, right?
Yeah.
I show up for my first time to meet some people here, and it was the first time that I've ever seen a location that looked better than the website can make it look. I mean, just look at this place that we get to work. This is why I said, can we come outside?
It is. Oh my God.
So that's what happened. I saw it. There was a position open for some workforce, building kind of the workforce part of what was going on at Meristem. I was interested. And then I came and I saw this campus, was blown away. The objective on my resume said I wanted to work with the most dynamic team on the planet. And look who I get to work with.
Wow.
Boom, right? There you go. Wrap that up.
But that is cool. So we're outside filming, and it is basically what Eric just described, right? Just point and shoot a camera around Meristem, and it is what you see behind the camera. It's more than that. Like Eric said, the campus looked better in person, but it is just that. That's wonderful, Eric. Eric, I wanted to ask you, can you tell us the audience, a little specifically about your role here at Meristem?
Well, like I said, when I first got here, Meristem was only a couple years old. You had been a student here. You were full-time enrolled. And I was immediately attracted to you and your energy, what you were doing. But what was going on is Meristem realized, okay, we have this idea, this plan to help these young adults on the autism spectrum essentially close the gap or re-step some things in order to find their full selves, right? Very, very beautiful model that we got here. You could explain it even better than me. But they had realized that we've got to incorporate workforce, work skill development into this, because these 20-year-olds, they want to make money. They want to get out there. Families want them to be ready for the workforce. And they were dabbling in it, but they wanted somebody to come in and kind of help build something a little bit more. And I had the opportunity to be a part of that initial building it up. But then, as you know, we had also at that time just received the grant for what we ended up calling the Transformative Autism Program through Breaking Barriers, which was this training program for employers all over the state of California that you ended up becoming the full-time Transformative Autism Program coordinator, right? And so both of those things were important, like essentially my two main focuses coming in. Help build the internal system that we're gonna have for our work skills and workforce department here at Meristem, but then also help build this training and go affect employers all over the state of California that you and I have been doing together for, what, 5 years now?
So Eric, that's great. We're gonna get into all things work skills in a second, like what does a typical day look like, etc. But Eric, you just brought up a great point about when we were initiating the TAP program, how we built relationships. Right now, and we'll get into the specifics, but we actually have people employed on the job working, and we have job coaches that go out and help them. But what does building that relationship mean? That's my first part of the second part is, and how do you build in natural support with the employer?
Wow. That's a biggie. You know how important that is to me. I mean, to us. I don't want to make it sound like it's a me thing, but just to make sure that we're on the same page, right? We're talking the part of the employer.
Right.
Is that what you're asking me about?
Yes.
Well, I think what we've learned, Harry, is that we, right, can develop an actual training that says to an employer, hey, here's all the best practices. Here are the things that you need to think about in order to really move from I want to be an inclusive workforce to being an inclusive workforce. And we've watched the magic of putting that training in front of employers, right? They're just like, wow, this feels great. I feel so much better. But when it's all said and done, the actual work that it takes to go from watching some video modules to I've got a young man or a young person in my workforce now that has got autism, and there's some things that need to happen in order to help them feel safe, comfortable, empowered to be the best they can be in this environment.
Right.
The amount of nuance and human to human effort that has to go into that, you don't get it from a video module, right? You get it from taking the time to get to know who that person is, right? And sometimes that person isn't going to be able to walk into the workforce and go, hey, this is me. This is the areas where I'm going to need support. Sometimes they don't even know yet, right? We've been through this.
Right, absolutely.
And so what I feel like we have found is people like me and you that can get an employer to say, hey, I really want to know how to do this. We can't just put the modules in front of them. We have to be willing and ready to stay as connected to them through the whole process of bringing somebody in and the nuances that go into the department that they're in or the different job tasks that the person's doing, the different people that they're interacting with, to help them move through these very like intimate, nuanced situations to where that one person, that's another thing that we've learned, right? That I can't give you an answer for one person and say this is going to work for the next person. Like that's a recipe for disaster, right? And so I think that the empowerment and the support that we've realized is going to be critical is helping these employers move through the process, at least with one or two people, and see how, you know, day one is day one, but day 300 is just as important as day one in terms of what it takes to help that person stay successful and supported in their role.
No, that's totally true. And that's really true. Couldn't be more true. It's kind of a two-way though. It's the employer, and I'll get to the job seeker, or at this point in the game, the employee in a second. But like, we're building this relationship with the employer, and we actually have, you know, number of examples where we built this relationship. We did a beautiful internship over at Goodwill in West Roseville, where now we have people working there, and if something isn't working out, the manager can call us and let us know because we built that relationship. We have other people working at maybe a job site where it's a newer job site and we haven't built that relationship yet, and you're not going to get a phone call at 10 o'clock at night if something goes wrong. But I feel it's amazing when the employer we have that relationship built so strongly that they can email or call us when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
It is a two-way street. Like, we have the employer part of it, and now down to the employee. What would you tell the employee in terms of, so they're going to start the job, or maybe they're going to go to the interview and get the job, and about disclosing, it's not like, oh, I have autism or whatever, but informing the employer of the supports they need, because employers that I talk to say they can't help the person if they don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Harry, you're getting into the real big stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, right? Like, you have particular job seekers out there that they have every right to, quote unquote, not want to disclose.
Right.
Or like I said earlier, just down the path, like, you have certain job seekers that we're helping that they haven't even gotten to the point to where they can express outwardly. They just don't know. Either they have a tough time expressing it, or they just don't even know, right? A lot of them are entry level. They haven't done a lot of work. They haven't gotten to the point to where they can express. I mean, part of the reason of Meristem, outside of the work skills, right, is come here, be here for 2, 3, 4 years to learn to express yourself, right? And so we've had job seekers or people that are employees that can't do that communication, right? They just haven't gotten there yet. So this is where our role again comes in, right? So an employer needs us, a job seeker needs us. A lot of times people think, oh, they just need Harry or Eric to be a job coach, stand next to them and help them do this thing. And it's like, well, I mean, that might be important, but a lot of times what's way more important is to help this person navigate the communication that needs to happen to help set up a system to where they're supported and the people that they're working with are supported. So the most critical thing that me and you can do is to be able to kind of read the room and recognize, like, where are we needed most? What do we need to do to help this work together? Because, like, I think of a young person that we helped. You had mentioned Goodwill. We had a young person at Goodwill who was an extremely effective worker. Like, we were able to show that person how to do the particular task, and they picked it up. I know you know who I'm talking about, but they picked it up right away. But there were times where that person needed to communicate with management and just couldn't get the words out, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so our role at that time, right, was to help work with that person, find out exactly what they needed help on, what they were struggling with, and then come up with a plan to communicate with the employer. Initially, we were the voice. But we weren't doing our job if we weren't trying to transition ourselves from being the voice to saying, hey, at some point, we need this to be something that you can do, because you can't have Harry and Eric or whatever that workforce support team is forever. And so our job coaching job initially was to be a voice, and then to transition that and empower and help work with our employee to get to the point to where they were able to express themselves.
And we do that at Meristem. We tell a lot of other job coaches are doing this, but we actually go out there and train people on this because it's so important. So, Eric, what you're talking about is this can be also done in a one-to-one setting. In other words, what we do at Meristem, right, is we go and visit the job seeker at their place of employment, but we make sure to do a 1 hour, it can be in person or on the computer, per week to actually check in with them. Because, right, if I was meeting with this individual in a one-to-one setting, I could maybe address some of these things you just talked about. How to better communicate with management, how to do certain different, like that, like figure it out, versus just going and watching them on the job.
Yeah. No, but I mean, all of it is important, right? Like, if I'm not at the job site and I'm not watching the dynamic, right, as a person that's involved in workforce support, right, if I'm not close enough to that to really see what the dynamics are, the truth of the matter is, Harry, you know this, is that if I stay too far away from it, 3, 4, 5 things could come up. This person is extremely uncomfortable. Things are unraveling. A supervisor is feeling like it's not working. There's colleagues that are saying, hey, I don't know what to do. And this could all happen after 3 or 4 shifts. And so we know that we need to be close enough to it. But what I think that we're learning is that as long as we're close enough to it and we're actually seeing what's going on at the workforce, we're close as we need to be, those one-to-ones that we're doing are powerful because we're able to help bring the person that that needs our support. They're trusting us, we're building that rapport, and we're able to have those critical conversations quietly, one-to-one, the hours that you're talking about, to really start to unravel. Because you had mentioned further on the trail, we didn't really get into it though, but that it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
Such a critical part of what we're doing here at Meristem through our work skills program is making sure that every single job seeker or employee that we're working with understands that their part is just as critical in terms of what they're doing to bring success to this collective body, right? And we're pushing them, but we have to, each and every one of them need a very kind of delicate, nuanced way, right? There's different people that we work with where you might be able to help them make that next step much better than I can, right? Because of the way you've built rapport with them. And we got to be really cognizant of that if we want to optimize the time that we have to try to have that influence.
Right. So this is cool. So we've done our walk and talk with Eric, and now we're bringing in, you all know Erin, our co-host here at Voice of the Community, Meristem's director. This is so exciting. I'm calling this segment Mission Critical, because we're going to get into all things mission related. We talked a lot about, Erin, how we build support with an employer, two-way streets involving job seekers, all great stuff, and support that Meristem's work skills team actually bring to the table. But I want to get in, and we're going to bring in Meristem generally in a minute, but first I want to get in from Eric's perspective. What is the actual mission of the Meristem Work Skills Department?
Well, it's just an extension of what Meristem was built to do, right? So Meristem comes together with a very, very unique philosophy towards helping young adults on the spectrum essentially find themselves in their physical bodies so that they can move towards the world as successfully as possible, right? And ultimately what that's leading towards is every single one of them has this capacity for the greatest amount of independence that they can achieve, right? And so work skills, workforce readiness, career, entry level, it doesn't matter what it is, like we fit into that puzzle, right? Because every part that anybody of the Meristem family touches within work skills is just in addition to what it takes from the whole Meristem program, right? To help bring somebody towards that, whatever that individual capacity for independence is today, which is going to change 5 years from now and 10 years from now. So I think we fit right into that puzzle, Harry. That would be my...
No, that's wonderful. I wanted to bring in Erin into the conversation. Have you ever anything to add, or how do you see the mission of Meristem's Work Skills Department as the executive director folding into the broader mission of Meristem?
Yeah, right on. And I think Eric said it a minute ago. I think we want to see a larger social change. I think at the end of the day, what we're striving for at Meristem is the people in a larger way get this is a population, and it's not just autism. Like there's a population of people with disabilities or people that just need different accommodations to make it in their life. And I think we're going to need to shift on our social mindset to restructure, some of the things that we do in society to help these individuals be able to actively participate and not feel like nothing fits the mold. They don't fit the mold, and they have to kind of exit themselves from society because they don't fit in. And so to me, I see the work skills as kind of being the front lines in the community of, training and teaching employers the kind of ways in which they need to shift or think differently around an individual that might just need certain accommodations, and how they can, bring a superpower or just bring consistency or whatever, or just at a basic level feel like they can show up and participate in actively, which might be a lifesaver for that individual, simply because they have a place to go, they have a community of work people to engage with on a daily basis. And whether they're the most productive or the least productive person on the team, to me, the hope would be that our mindset changes to where everyone's included in that regard. And I think, to me, that's the hope of where we're going with the broader vision of Meristem and work skills being kind of on the front end in the community for that movement.
Wonderful answer. Wow. We are going to get to we have some fun rapid fire questions in a second, but I do want to ask you one more just general question. I'm Eric about work skills. Like
Forest green. Forest green.
Wow.
My favorite color?
Yeah.
Is that one of the rapid fires? I just went
Might have been, but
right,
no,
anyway,
but we have a super. Like I'm actually interested in joining work skills. What does a day look like at work skills if I'm going to join your program as a student?
Yeah, that's a great question, but I just want to bring it back to anything that we're trying to communicate to anybody that might touch what we have to share. Is that that question is so individual to Harry Lane or Erin Schirm or Eric Stewart that to put something out there and try to convey to an audience that, hey, if I go to Meristem, this is what my day is going to look like. That's just not an accurate,
right?
Especially within the work skills department, right? Like the Meristem model for somebody that wants to potentially come here and do the transition work that this place was built on, that there is an idea of what that should look like over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? Because there's a whole pattern that Erin has built and the founders have built. But within the work skills department, we're recognizing that every single person's coming towards us, right? That has a very unique path towards what their vision of success is, right? And depending on what that is, we're able to build kind of like a menu, right? Hey, look at the menu. These are the things that we're doing. And we're learning that you might pick a certain menu on Monday, Harry, and by Wednesday, you're like, hey, this isn't really working for me. I'm running into something that I didn't expect. And within our work skills department, we're able to transition almost on the spot to something that can work. Now, do we want to help people learn that, hey, once you make a decision to do something, unless you can maintain some consistency in that, regardless of how adverse you might feel or uncomfortable or, oh, I made, like, we need to help people learn how to push through that discomfort.
Yes.
Do something a little bit longer. I mean, you've been through this, right? Where you do something one time and you say it's not for me, but if you stick to it, you do it 2 or 3 times, or maybe all the way until 9 times, you start to find, like, hey, actually, this is working out for me, right?
Absolutely.
So in general, on the work skills team, right, we're trying to help people stay committed to a decision, no matter how small it is for a certain period of time. But each individual that's coming towards us, Harry, like if we looked at, like right now we have about 30 people that are enrolled in the work skills individualized program, right? Every single one of them has a very unique program offering. Now, as a community, like on our menu, we've got a really robust job exploration program that we do. We just started to bring in some what we call peers to careers type stuff, which is, we had brought this up earlier, you were talking to Erin about it, like there's a lot of people that we're helping that they can do certain hard tasks really well, but man, the social engagement part is difficult enough for them to think, hey, I'm gonna bail out of this, right? And so this kind of peers to careers curriculum that we're looking at is something to really focus on. Hey, when you run into these situations at work, let's practice how you do those interactions so that you don't hold off on them or build a lot of anxiety over them to where maybe you decide you can't do work. But we also do, as you know, Harry, we're very much into the vocational training part. So we've got partners all over the community where we're going out, we're providing support. Erin just brought up a potential one today. There's an organization about 20 miles from here that needs landscaping help, but they can't afford to do it. Well, we've got people within the work skills department that want to learn how to work through landscaping, and we can go down there and become a new partner. And we've got partners like that all over town.
Absolutely we do.
But then we've really started to focus on the one-to-one support because of the unique needs of everybody that we're supporting. And so right now there's also a lot of group stuff that we're doing, but also one-to-one support depending on, hey, am I really in a space where I'm more career thinking? I'm not even career might not be the right, but I really need to explore where I want to go. And I need some one-to-one time to really look at everything that's involved. And then we've got a lot of people who have gotten jobs or are very close to getting jobs, and they need that one-to-one support through the onboarding while they start working, as long as is needed.
So Eric, just to wrap up, I wanted to know, do you have a success story that you could briefly share about the student success story within work skills?
Well, it just so happens that today, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this talk, right? Today is January 6th, 2026. And this morning, we had the top brass from the California Conservation Corps out here on our campus to meet with 4 of our students who have been hired by the Conservation Corps to go join their comrades. They do a roll call every single morning. we don't have time to do the whole, but look it up, California Conservation Corps. Partnership that's been taking 3 years in the making.
We're going to get back to this, by the way.
Okay. But today, the top brass was out here to watch our 4 guys in uniform do roll call, get in the van, and head to their first work site. And they're there now in Davis with their comrades from the California Conservation Corps working on a reservoir.
Right after a major rainstorm, like they're really doing the work.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about success right now. Jeez.
That is the story to just basically end the podcast on. That's like a wonderful feel-good story. More to come from that, because we're going to be interviewing, talking about vocational trainings, maybe even talking to Demetrio and the Conservation Corps about that, as well as more on the one-to-one system to come. But we have some rapid-fire questions for you, Eric. This is a fun little section. Erin, if you want me to take the first one and then you just follow along.
You got it.
Let's see, I have written them down here.
Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. It's their
favorite
turn.
part of your day at Meristem, Eric?
Favorite part of my day is probably showing up and the morning circle. What we do as a community, especially we have an herbal arts instructor named Amy that leads a dance every morning, and it just gets the blood flowing.
Wow.
Love it.
One skill that every young person should have going in the workforce.
Listening.
Oh.
Great one.
If you could describe the Meristem community in one word, what would it be?
Dynamic.
And finally, what is something about your job that always makes you smile?
The people I get to work with.
Wow.
Like you guys. For real.
That is amazing. I'm excited to smile.
And finally,
Let's tell the truth.
finally, what is the most frustrating thing that comes up in your mind working with Harry?
Oh,
day-to-day?
boy.
I was going to say.
Please
I was just about to say. Harry.
Please
actually,
Please answer.
you and I could, be really honest with our, audience. But what's most frustrating about working with Harry? I would have to be that Harry and I do a lot of traveling together. And I'm telling you, every time that we know we're going to eat, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Harry's going to figure out everything he needs to know, because he asks every restaurant about 75 questions. And it's like every single time you haven't done any of the pre-work, and I got to just sit there and let you do your 75 questions before you're like, all right, I'm going to try that.
Anything.
What's your favorite thing about
part
working with Harry?
Well, I mean, the audience is getting to know Harry.
Yeah.
And there is a long time ago when I showed up here and Harry was a student, I saw him just moving towards us. And I thought that there is something about this man's energy. There's something that he's bringing. There's a confidence to what he has about his purpose that is a lot different than what I was seeing from a lot of people. And Harry, you get to be just a living, breathing model of where someone can get when we talk about the Meristem method. And everybody gets it there differently.
Yeah.
But, and Erin, correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes my wording doesn't hit it the way you do, but ultimately, Meristem is designed to help every single student find and be able to work with all of what's inside of them.
Yeah.
And I see you, and I get to work with you every day, and I'm like, even though we're all just at a percentage of what we can be capable of,
Yeah.
I feel like you are willing to push to be all you can be, the best you can be, every day for yourself, for others, the whole 9 yards, man.
Wow. Thank you, Eric. That was I appreciate that. We do have one final question to end all questions here for you. Like, what would you say to somebody seeking work skills programs? Maybe one thing for the person and one thing for their parent.
It's a good question, and it's a tough question, because every single mom and dad that come towards this moment in life, right? We want our young adult to be able to be independent, and part of that is getting a career and making money. And then you've got these young adults that are like, I want to make money, and they might not even be thinking about a career, but they just want their own money. Meristem can say to somebody, listen, we've got a model of support and transparency to where no matter what happens, right? However long that is, you're going to appreciate what we're able to bring to the table. But whether you're coming to Meristem or you're looking at all these options, what I'm going to look at every mom and dad with, and I'm going to look at every potential job seeker, and I'm going to say, this process is probably 100 times harder than you want it to be.
Right.
There are so many layers that are involved to helping just one person find that successful spot, or like Erin likes to say all the time, that sometimes the most successful spot is the spot that looks like an epic failure. And that's extremely difficult for me to wrap my head around, but I do understand I do understand what it means, right? Because Aaron can see further out.
Yeah.
And he can say, okay, this needed to happen in order for that person to get it, right?
Right.
I'm looking at the 10 people that were involved in making this one thing work, and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, that's 10 people that are let down.
Yeah.
But it's not actually let down big picture if, right, whatever program you go to, again, I want to, tout Meristem, you're close enough to the process to say, okay, this is the work that we need to learn from what we just went through, and this is how we move forward to the next one. But it's an extremely complex process. Another thing I would say to moms and dads and job seekers is that this isn't something that just gets fixed. You don't just have the employer that fixed the problem or the job coach that fixed it. This is a lifelong journey, and you got to be patient. You got to be willing to push through it. Final thing is, I would say to mom and dad, I will hold your job seeker as accountable as humanly possible.
Right.
And you guys teach this all the time, right? The most important person to learn and own what's going on in this whole process is the young adult, right?
Yes.
And if we're not staying true to continuing to push and help that young adult see what they need to see and then feel inside what they need to feel inside, I think that we're just running on that merry-go-round that everybody else is, which is not a bad thing, right? You got to have it, but we do want to do it different here.
Step up, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. That was wonderful. Aaron, we're wrapping up here, but anything that you want to add before we close?
No, just excited. We're excited to be back. We took a little hiatus from the podcast for a bit, but we're coming on strong in 2026. Harry might be taking more of the lead, so you'll see me in and out at times, but I'm excited, and thanks for kicking off our year, Eric.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
We have some amazing guests coming up, as well as more on work skills, so thanks for joining us, Eric.
Right on.
Voices of the Community out.